Hey everyone, and welcome back to Anchor Watch, our weekly below deck chat, where I myself and, well, Gelsey, who's not here this week, take over Up and Adam's channel to talk about Bravo's highest rated show. Now, usually we are live right now at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. However, I'm traveling tonight. I'm traveling, so we're still putting this up at 10:30 because we could not miss another week of Anchor Watch. But guys, if we're ever not here for Anchor Watch live, which should only happen a few times, we have the episode going out on the podcast as well as our review on upandadamlive.com, our recap, which you can go read. It's great, and you can even watch Anchor Watch straight from there if you choose. So I needed some help today, so I enlisted, well, someone's channel we're taking over, but I guess now he's on it, so we're not so much taking it over. Let's welcome Adam.
Hi,
Hi.
guys. I'm so excited. First of all, I love the little Anchor Watch community, and normally at 10:30, I'm not even awake for you guys. So this is fun.
It is fun. I mean, yeah, it's not late night, but I mean, we had to do it, and we watched the episode last night. So I guess, where do we start here? I want to start with, what would you rate this episode? And before you rate it, let me just say, this season had the highest of highest hopes. Okay. We just came off Below Deck Down Under, which was amazing. They had an amazing season 3, right? Great crew, great storylines, great things happening. This had a lot of promise, and a lot of people are feeling like this season isn't delivering so far. And I keep saying, like, just wait. We're taking off, but slowly. But what would you give it?
Honestly, probably like a 6.
Yeah, okay. 6 for the 6th episode.
Yeah, I would give it a 6 only because the first 30 minutes for me was so slow, you know? And then I thought that the last 30 minutes, like, that picked up when we got the owners of the strip clubs, and we kind of got a little bit more movement. But the first 30 minutes, even though that there were things that were happening within the dynamics of the cast, I was like, why am I watching this? You know? And I don't like feeling like that.
No, and the thing is we got this, like I said, we got this big preview. You know, the first 2 episodes, it's like, okay, cool, we're here. You know, and I felt like production did a really good job of introing all of the cast, where they're from, a little bit about them, so we can kind of like ride along a little faster. And then it just kept going, boom, boom, boom. And then I'm like, we are 50 minutes in and nothing is happening. Like, I just don't know where we are. But I do feel like we're taking off. I do. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I think it's a great cast. I think that this is really not a problem for the cast itself. I think that they're delivering. I think that this was like a problem in editing, because I feel like the editors taking the first 30 minutes to give us like nothing but BS. And it felt like I was watching like Keeping Up with the Kardashians with a lot of B-roll, a lot of
B-roll,
like nonsensical, like things that were happening that were like just keeping us interested until we got the owners who were coming in as the new charter guests that own the strip club or strip clubs. I felt like that was just kind of like to hold us over, because they did not have a lot of stuff to put into the episode. So again, I blame them, because instead of doing that and drawing out episodes and making it like 17, 18 episodes, you can make it 14, 15 really strong episodes, and that's just as fine. And you guys save money because you don't have to pay the cast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's true. I'm still holding hopes. You know, I believe we do have 16, 17 episodes. We do have 17 episodes, I believe. I can't remember when Med starts, but this will go in. You know, we have a few more episodes. I think we have at least 8. So it could get better. But I do have to say, this episode, not only did we have a new crew member, we have a new love triangle. Someone got fired. I mean, things are happening, you know, and now we have these charter guests who are a little, you know, off the fucking hook. But yeah.
That's what I was going to say too, is like, it's not like there wasn't a lot of movement. You know, you had a firing, you had a love triangle, you had like asshole guests, you had a lot of movement that was happening. So now I'm not really blaming the cast of the show. I'm kind of blaming the editors for the way that they told the story, because I think there's an art in that too. And I think that the way that you edit the show and because your job as a producer or as an editor is to essentially be a storyteller, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's kind of where it fell short.
Do you think though that they planned it this way as they knew the beginning of this show, school's ending, there are vacations happening, holidays are happening. Do you think they did a slow start on purpose because of scheduling, or no, it doesn't matter?
No, I don't think that anybody would do that on purpose, because you have to think that it's like almost like one of those things, like when you get residuals or you get money for, like, let's say it's like Macaulay Culkin on Home Alone, you get like a residual paycheck, but you do in like perpetuity, you get these ratings, you get people who are reviewing the shows, and people will, in the long term, remember whether or not that season was good, or, I mean, if it was or if it wasn't, like not Hannah Burner, Hannah Ferrier, and also Kate Chastain, they always had great seasons. You know what I mean? People know them for the
Oh my
great
God.
seasons. So
well, that's the other thing too. I was going to ask you is how do you feel? Before we get into the episode here, how do you feel Fraser's doing in comparison to like a Hannah or a Kate Chastain?
Am I allowed? I don't know. This isn't my
Let me just
show.
preface with saying, okay, when Josh was doing Anchor Watch with us, we were like big Fraser fans. We wanted the first gay chief stew. Why wouldn't we? You know what I mean? Like, and he just had that British wit and charm and class and elegance. But at the same time, he's getting a lot of backlash in some of these like different communities, like Reddit or sometimes on X. He's not getting great feedback. But what were you going to say? Like, how do you compare him to two of our best chief stews?
Let me say, I know that there were two people who are from the gay community who were really fighting for this chief stew status, which would be Fraser and also Kyle Vajoian. How do you say it? Vajoian?
Oh, Volosian, yeah.
Volosian.
Kyle.
Okay.
He would never be a good chief stew, though.
He would never be a good
Not for
chief
TV.
stew. But I think that, yeah, because he would turn it on too much, and he like definitely played into a character. I think that
Adam,
Fraser
he barely worked the last season. He was sick, and then he like fell down some stairs and twisted he like didn't work.
Yeah,
it just wasn't going to happen.
But I do think that Fraser comes off a little cunty, to say. But to be fair, I can say this as a gay dude, because I am, right? I'm a part of the community, you guys. So you can't say that I'm saying something wrong. But like, Hannah and Kate were also very silly in that same manner, where they were making towels into penises, or they were just spraying, like guests off when they would not go to bed, and they were doing similar things. I just, for some reason, it's landing in a different way with him, and I don't know why. I haven't put my finger on it, but watching him and watching how he navigates with the guest, he's just coming off all the time as like very bitchy.
Do you think though that
I'm not loving it?
Like, how we've talked about before, the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, how when they first started, now they have their own personalities, right? But when they first started, they were very much caricatures of other housewives we've seen before, or you can tell they took different things from different shows and they wanted that image to portray that image.
Yeah.
Do you think that Fraser might be trying to play a character here instead of just fully committing to maybe being himself, because he's maybe afraid, okay, I don't want to do too much to like rock the boat?
Yeah, there were two moments last night that I saw where he was like putting it up for the cameras and for the captain and everybody specifically. I think it was when he reprimanded, it's Solène? Solène. Okay, so you can tell me her name 20 times and I'm going to mess this up. But I think when he was reprimanding her, but then also when he was going to check on the party that they were throwing at the dock, and he was sitting there talking to the guy with Captain Kerry there, and he's like, okay, well, and he was like really asserting himself in there, but you could tell he was doing it in a way that he wanted to impress Captain, to kind of show like, I'm taking control over this. But the way that I learned this at a very young age, and I, again, not trying to make this about me, you guys, but I learned this at a very young age.
I mean, it is called Up and Adam. This channel is called Up and Adam. You can make it about whatever you want.
That's right, bitches. No, I'm kidding. But I think that the way that you communicate your message and you articulate it to people that's the way that it's received is the way that somebody is going to operate on their side. So like if you sit there and you go up to somebody and you have an issue, whether it's at a restaurant or anything, and you come at them very aggressive and you're just angry or nasty, you're going to get met with that energy. And I wholeheartedly believe that. But I think that if you can take that same message and communicate it more effectively and articulate that in a more positive way, being like, listen, as of right now, like, I know what you're saying. You're saying that you have it together. I'm saying that we're on a mega yacht right now and our guests are incredibly difficult. This is all going to be on me. Can you make me feel what, like, show me
Like,
if it's not here on the dock.
Sense of, yes, give me a sense of
Paint the
direction. Like,
picture.
what the hell is happening here?
Paint the picture. Like, show me
Paint the picture.
like, show me what you think is going to happen. That way I can have a sense of some sort of relief. Like, but it's the way that you communicate, you know?
I think too, you know, and I didn't really mean to make this about Fraser because, you know, this episode wasn't too much about him, but I've been wanting to have a conversation about him because I do like him. But I think that there's no like contrast, right? It's always the stakes are high. And then it's like, it's a night out, but everyone's like drunk and a mess on the night out. So we expect that. But the stakes are always like, okay. You know, it's not, whereas like Kate would have fun. She'd be in a bad mood. She'd be in a good mood. You wouldn't fucking know what you're getting with Kate, you know, day to day. Whereas Fraser, he's very consistent, which is a good thing, you know, for the job, but maybe for TV, not so much. I don't know. I like him. I'm just going based off, you know, what we're seeing, what we're reading.
I'm going to call this what it is. It's
what is
it's
it?
Literally, and it's okay. It's not a bad thing, you know? And I feel like, guys, I can say this as like a gay man. I think that there was a cry out from the Below Deck fans to see a chief stew that was not always going to be a female. I think that they wanted to see like a male. I think that the males that we have seen in these roles for interior, that they have been predominantly gay men, especially on Below Deck. And I think that this was a chance to diversify that role a little bit. However, it doesn't mean that you're always going to get the casting right. And from one thing that I've said about Bravo for many, many years now, we've been doing this for over 5 years. I think that there are so many times where, in fact, they do not get the casting right. And I'm kind of feeling like this is one of those moments. Like Aisha,
really,
Aisha as a chief stew, loved her. You know, like I can go through chief stews that I really, really enjoy, and they make the show fun to watch. There's a difference in that because what that does is that creates ratings. What those ratings do is they bring in ad dollars. What the ad dollars do is they contribute to the business. That's the whole thing. It's a business.
Absolutely. You know? But I hope we're going in the right direction. I mean, let's hope, let's pray. But let's get into the episode really quick because I want to know your thoughts on some things, okay? Because we just got rid of our bosun, Caio. Since the beginning, he has been completely in over his head. Like I even said, I think early on, maybe in one of the first recaps we did, that Caio might have embellished his resume a bit or maybe didn't have the experience. And anytime he got called out, okay, he would blame shift to his team, which wasn't very leadership. It was like, okay, I feel insecure. I'm scared. I don't know really what I'm doing. I'm overwhelmed. I'm uncomfortable. So let me just blame it on my team because if they get better, maybe I'll look better. So I think Caio was there like maybe 1 or 2 episodes too late. Like I'm glad Caio is gone. But now we get the introduction of Hugo, who is a complete contrast. That's a horrible photo of him. Let me see if I...
Sorry, Hugo.
Sorry, Hugo.
Hugo's a good-looking guy, so Hugo, we apologize.
Yeah, a complete contrast though to Caio. For sure. But I do have to say the way that Captain Kerry let Caio go with class, and it's like, dude, you're not thriving here. You know, you're surviving. And I want you to be somewhere where you can thrive. And this just isn't it. And admittedly, Caio was like, yeah, I think I belong on a different yacht, a smaller boat with a smaller team. But now we have Hugo, and literally right off the bat, like people can tell. Even Kyle said it. He's like, I just feel comfortable with this guy here. You know what I mean? And then calling the distances going through that bridge between Jess and Hugo. It was like, I'm sure Captain Kerry was like, this is night and fucking day. Like, this is completely different. Now, the only person who wasn't sure about Hugo's energy, though, was Damo coming in. But I think that quickly changed as we got going here. But man, that leadership shift was very different.
I think that, it's funny. It's actually really, really funny the way that I'm looking at it, because I'm looking at it from the perspective of you running Lisa Vanderpump's restaurants, right? So you used to always tell me when the staff, like when something was going on with the staff, you would be like, Adam, that starts with me. Like it starts at the top and it goes down. So if I'm having a bad day, they're going to have a bad day. So you would always
100%.
tell me that, yeah, like it would all kind of trickle down. Kind of like if you guys have like a champagne pyramid and you like pour at the top and it goes into all of the other glasses, I don't know if that's the analogy, but I do feel like Caio was not able to efficiently run a team on a vessel this size. But then when Hugo came in, I think the difference is you guys got to do whatever you wanted. It was playtime. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of silliness. There was really no order.
Well, I don't know if it was playtime because a lot of them were complaining about like, where are my breaks? They were overwhelmed and they were kind of confused. There was no direction. Like we didn't know what we were supposed to do. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. But you got to complain about it, but you still got to do what you wanted to do. You know what I mean? And Jess was the one who had her finger on it the most, I feel, like on that pulse. However, like when you have somebody like Hugo who comes in, now it's like there's not really room for you to decide or even have the mental capacity to figure out what you're going to do, because this person reminds me of somebody who is so structured, maybe even from a militant background, I'm not sure, but really has it laid out in how he wants to organize and do the entire charter, who's going to be on at what times, who's going to be on the walkie-talkie with me, who's going to make the calls in order for us to dock and get off the dock, all of the things, which it goes back to, this is one of the, I'm going to give you guys another analogy. It's something that I live for here. Jason and I were really, really good friends with the executive producer of The Ellen Show. So we went to The Ellen Show a couple of times. And when we did, she ended up getting in a lot of trouble during the pandemic because people came out and said that she fostered a tumultuous work environment. Well, the executive producer was like, absolutely not. She worked with her for over 20 years. She said, can she be stern sometimes? Yeah, because she has a show with millions of viewers to run. And sometimes she's very direct and sometimes she wants things the way that she wants them. So almost as if you're dealing with a perfectionist, but that's not a character flaw. That is somebody who's good at their job. And if you can't compartmentalize and understand when somebody's good at their job or also not a good person, if you can't differentiate between the two, that is not that person's problem who's in that role, who's killing that job. That is your problem for not being able to understand.
No, absolutely.
So,
absolutely. Well, I really thought, to be honest with you, that we were getting Jess stepping in, and maybe just even in the interim of it. I didn't know that Kerry was already looking at resumes. Like Kerry already felt that Caio was going to go early on. I mean, he probably had that intuition the same time we did. The moment we fucking saw him, that was the time to go. Now, the other thing I do have to say, because I want to bounce back to that having representation within the community, which is important to some people. And I think this is our first cast where we have just a lot of things happening. We went from this, 2 guys kissing, 2 girls kissing, Barbara.
Great. It's below deck, LGBTQIA plus version.
Barbara and Jess are gay. Solène seems to, I just say she's French, but she's kind of everywhere. Damo is bisexual. We just have this like kind of, I don't know, for once, kind of, I feel like in the yachting industry, everything has been hush hush for so long. And I feel like this is really good for the industry itself and to showcase. Now, is it getting a little too much? Not yet, but it could.
Can I just say the irony in the fact that the only one of like the handful of people who are on the boat who are straight is named Rainbeau. Like the fact that that's even a thing. And then we have all of these other, like everybody's just like, it's Pride. It's like, is it? What are you filming this? But no, I honestly, I don't think it's too much. I think that what it does is it encapsulates the whole idea of what goes on these boats, on the ships. It doesn't matter if you're straight, if you're gay. Obviously, there's sort of this like incestuous dynamic that happens within the work crew, right? Because you guys are stuck with each other. And that's why if you're ever watching these shows, by the way, which if you're watching this, that means you are, and you see when there's like one cast member who's like crying, it's a crew member, and they're only 2 weeks on the boat, and they're like, I really loved that girl. And you're like, what the do you mean?
Well, even
you
more
met
so
her
here.
2 weeks ago.
Even more so on Below Deck, they only film for 6 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So a normal charter season is like 3 months. You know, it can be, well, it can be shorter, but like a charter season, if you're on for the entire season, you're on for literally a season. You know, but you got to think about how crazy it is that they get so involved and uninvolved so quickly, because it all is happening within a week. Like Kyle was just sitting crying on a toilet with his heart doing backflips because he thought he fell in love with Solène in 5 minutes. Like, it's insane. It's insane. And then we have Solène. Solène is kicking all of these playboys to the side, right? She is a quintessential female F-boy, let's just say, okay? She's playing Puppet Master right now because she kind of likes Scottish, is what she calls Kyle. And then she's over like, well, I'm kind of over Scottish, so I'm going to go and make out with Jess in the bathroom. And that was good, so I'm going to come outside and put it on display and make everyone... And she doesn't have any interest in Jess, and Jess probably was just like, is mature enough to know that she's just this girl who wants to play around a little bit. But it's crazy because Solène has created her own love triangle here and giving herself her own drama. And it's so funny. She's like, I don't know what to do with Scottish. And now I like Jess. And now I'm like, what are you doing, girl? Like,
this is the only thing that annoys me. 2 things. And I have a lot of friends like this too. And
the only thing, 2 things.
2 things. If you guys know Jason and I, especially, we've been together for 11 years now, which is wild. We were never like really big daters. We didn't go out. You know, you have, especially like in LA, people proposition you like, do you want to be in an open relationship? Do you want to do this? And we were like, if you don't get I would literally be like, do you want to wear this cheeseburger on your shirt if you don't walk away from my table? So it's just like some people are open to that stuff. However, I do think that when you are playing with people's emotions, you're entering into a dangerous territory. You know, I have somebody in my family who is a mastermind of playing with people's emotions, and we've had some really horrendous situations because of it. And I think that Jess is going to be left with the residual feelings of feeling like she was used as some sort of play toy, as if she wasn't taken serious as a lesbian. And then I think that Kyle... Also, if you're not into him, stop meeting up with him and making out with him, and stop sneaking around. So
it's just the flirtation. I think she's on the wrong. She just got off Love Island, France. Okay, so she thinks she's still on Love Island on a boat.
Listen, was she actually on Love Island?
Yeah, France, Love Island, France.
Okay, so then that's
Love Island.
Okay, so that makes sense. So
yeah,
you're going around, you're hooking up with different people, you're doing whatever you want to do, and to you, you're kind of playing into like these different narratives, these different storylines, but you're not thinking about the residual effect. You're thinking about you. So while some people might say, okay, well, you're single and that's great, you can date, I kind of view that as being incredibly selfish, because if you are going to date around like that and you're going to play the field and you're going to express interest in multiple people, then I think that you definitely need to keep an open line of communication about that, so that everybody is on the same terms. That way they know they can also do the same thing that you're doing. Now, if Kyle goes out and goes to a bar, starts making out with the girl, and you're sitting on Jess's lap, and all of a sudden you get in your feelings because you're playing both of them and you haven't communicated that, which I'm sure we will see eventually, vice versa, one or the other, that's where I'm going to be like, I don't feel bad for you, because I think that you're a clown. Like, you're puppeteering both of them.
I have to say, though, she is. But she did tell Kyle at the very beginning, she said, I'm not here for a relationship. I'm not looking for a relationship. She did say that to Kyle. And I think she's had a similar conversation with Jess as well. And I think Jess is just too mature. Really, she's too mature to not see through the lines. She knows who
But then
Solène
why are
is.
you still sneaking around behind both of their backs?
Why not? She's single. She can do what she wants.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Is like, yes, you can do what you want, but when it comes back and it bites you in the ass, I don't feel bad for you.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I do have to say, though, because I'm going to move on just a little more to the interior and the rest of the episode. For weeks, we have been watching Solène, and she was kind of humorous and funny at the beginning. And I kind of feel like as a viewer right now, her antics are just driving me a little nuts, especially when it comes to like the work stuff, because she really isn't doing anything. She's like walking away. She almost missed the guest arrival. She was late. So there are a lot of things coming up. I do feel like we are going to get someone removed from the interior, whether they remove themselves, which I'm referring to Rainbeau, or whether we get another firing, which would most likely be Solène. If that will happen. I know that we're getting another one. So I know it's coming. I just don't know from who, where, why. We should find out. We also have Caio, who's about to get in a lot of trouble soon too. But Rainbeau, night after night after night, is up until like 2:30 in the morning. Solène is not doing her part, and it's driving Rainbeau crazy. Now, Rainbeau has shared that she has had issues with like anxiety and panic attacks and everything before. We've even seen it here on the show recently. But I feel like she's just being pushed to her max, and she might even be self-sabotaging herself because she hasn't really, really, really communicated this to Fraser on like, I am dying here. Damo sees it every night. He's watching her every night. So I'm hoping Solène will be able to step up a little bit, because otherwise someone's going to go. Rainbow's going to walk the plank by herself. She's like, I'm out. Or Solène is going to be fired. One of them is going to go for sure.
Well, but also that goes back to my original point of another reason that I don't think that Fraser would be a great leader or chief stew in this situation. Because if you see Rainbeau and she's doing all of this work and she's working and going and going and going and staying up and doing more, and she's constantly handling things, you're not asking her of things. But now as a leader, what you're doing is you're realizing, okay, she's lessening your load. She's kind of taking care of this stuff, so you don't have to worry about her, but you're not even acknowledging that she's doing that. You're just like, okay, well, she's going to do it anyways. So now what you have going on is that she is burning herself out of gas while these other people are lackadaisical, not doing shit, and you're not giving balance, which is what a leader would do, which is another.
Well, I feel like Fraser has missed
him.
Yeah, he's missed the mark a little bit when it comes to like being a leader and right here, because he always has to go to bed. Oh, I'm tired. Oh gosh, it's this. Oh, it's that. But I feel like you really need to be around everything that's happening. I feel like Kate never like put herself to bed too early. She had eyes everywhere. Like she knew everything that was going on. And I think sometimes Fraser gets a little overwhelmed where he might slip up and not notice everything happening in his interior. But she's slacking. And I just think that Rainbeau is just not gonna last very much longer, because you also have the friendship of Barbara and Rainbeau kind of, getting closer and closer Barbara and Solène, because Rainbeau comes in and like literally kicks her under the table and tells her to move during service. And it just, I feel like now you have 2 against 1. Now you have someone who is overthinking things, overdoing things, having panic attacks, like stressing out. I just don't feel it's going to be a great end for Rainbeau. I really don't. I don't think she's going to make it to the end of the season.
Honestly, I hope that she does. I think that she's great. I think she does an amazing job. And I think that she takes it seriously. And I think that when you have a show like this, an ensemble cast, I do think that you need to have like the fuckery of like people who are like being silly and doing dumb things and doing the most, which normally you probably wouldn't do if the cameras weren't there. But then you also need people who are doing the job, because the whole point of watching these shows is to showcase people living on these yachts who work and entertain these charters. And it's a lifestyle. It's a job. It's a career. So we do need that authenticity that comes with it too. And I think that Rainbeau provides that. So I think that would be a huge disservice to the franchise if we did lose Rainbeau. But that's just my opinion. It's my opinion.
Unless I don't think this is Game of Thrones here. No one is safe. So
no one's safe.
That's cute that you think that. but they could bring in another Rainbeau that might even be like surpassing everybody there. You know what I mean? And give Fraser a run for his money. This is how Below Deck works. This is why I like it. In fact, I think Housewives needs to be more like this. You might not be here at the end of the season, bitch. You know, like that would be.
I want to say two
that
more
would
things.
be a way to do it.
There are two things really quick. It's funny, and before you like catch me off so I don't forget it. One, Jason always told me this when we were getting ready for any job or anything that we did. When Jason used to go work out at the gym, and Jason was like a world champion, right? So if he would do 100 push-ups, his dad would tell him, great, somebody else out there is doing 101. It's kind of like that constant reminder to yourself to know there is always somebody who is working harder than you. And so don't ever think that you are the end all be all. There is somebody else out there who will replace you.
The understudy is always waiting in the wings, Adam. They're always waiting in the wings.
Yes.
They're waiting to go on. And you know what? They've studied your role better than you know it. So that's why you got to stay, stay on top of your shit.
The only second thing that I was going to add, the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, she was the one who said, you know what, you want to revamp Bravo? Like at the end of every season, why not let the fans vote? Like vote who gets voted off the show. Let them do a fan vote. Decide which housewife, which cast member, which crew member, which whatever, they get voted off. Maybe if you want one or two, they get voted off, but leave it up to America or up to, like the world, like the viewers. And I was like, that's actually pretty sick. It would be like Love Island. We would pull in all of the viewers.
I'm telling you, like if that would be amazing. And then you can change their pay structures too. Well, you didn't make it through this season, so next season you have to start back at the beginning and see how many seasons you make it and that's how much you get paid. I mean, right? Because they get so overpaid, I think.
They're definitely overpaid.
Like you film for like a few weeks and you're like, yay. All right. So anyway, we got these guests. We finally got actually really rowdy, obnoxious, rude. I forgot the other words that were used by Fraser for these guests. Some awful guests. Now, I think episode 2, 3, we had the porn stars on board, and they were on board for a 5-day charter, which is the longest charter we've ever had on Below Deck. And I think producers, I really did think this was going to be like a knockout, huge like charter thing. I felt like they thought the porn stars were going to go crazy and they'd have all this footage to edit, and it just didn't work. They like fast forwarded through half of their charter at the end. They're like, yay. And they're done. Oh my gosh. So I think that's why we're getting a slower start for some reason. But these guests come in, they own all these strip clubs, lots of strip clubs. And they want a full blown concert on the dock. They want a VIP section. They want a DJ. They want 1990s music, like, crazy shit. They have $20,000 to spend on it. And Fraser only has 24 hours to pull it off. So he's finding the event planner. I just don't see it going very well right now. Because as you just said, when Kerry and Fraser were on the dock, it's like this guy was not showing them shit. Fraser was all like, what the fuck is going on?
I think that honestly, truly, I feel like Fraser in this moment, unfortunately, I feel like, I'm trying my best here. I think that Fraser in this moment is doing his best with what he's been offered as far as like, okay, we have these ridiculous asks, but that's what this whole show is about. So we want to do a 12-course meal around the world, or we want to do a party on the dock, or we want to whatever. But it's kind of their job to come up with these things. For him, it's really on you. So that communication that he needs to have with the guy who's running the dock, that probably needs to be a little bit better. I wouldn't just blindly trust somebody who's like, yes, don't worry, I got it. Like, you got it. You don't know what kind of parties they're used to throwing. Is it like a 10-year-old's like Chuck E. Cheese birthday party? Or is it like we're going to, I don't know, St. Martin and we're throwing like a massive thing? I don't know what kind of parties he's used to throwing. But also, these guests suck. And can I just say really quick?
They need to suck. For the show, they have to suck. But they do, you're right. They suck because... They honestly suck because they you know when people think that they're like yacht ready, you know, all these businesses, everything's running, I'm rich, and you can be as rich as you want and still have zero class. And that's where we are with these people. They're horrible. But go ahead. I want to hear what you think about them because they're insane.
So I feel like, honestly, with the people, I think that them coming in and being like, Rainbeau, Rainbeau, like, and just so drunk and stupid. I'm looking at this woman. I'm like, can I say what I want?
You can say whatever the fuck you want.
I'm
You're
like, bitch, you're a grown ass woman. No offense. And I say bitch in like the nicest way, but you are a grown ass woman. You own businesses.
Dawn.
If you have businesses and you have a strip club, that means you have a staff. If you have a staff, that means that you should know how to talk to people, especially in the hospitality industry, because I have somebody in my life who watches this, but who was a stripper for a long time. And even still, it doesn't matter if you're a server, a bartender, a busser. I don't give a if you're a dishwasher or a cook. Respect your staff. And when you come on a boat like this, you're being so incredible. One, you're inebriated as hell. But two, you're being obnoxious. You're acting like an asshole. And at some point, I would have looked at her and I would have been like, can you please tone it down for a second? Like I would have.
Yeah.
Just because, Kerry, listen. I was just going to say, Captain Kerry gave them every opportunity to look at the guests and be like, hey, if they're doing something, if they're obnoxious, if they're whatever. And I think that Fraser wanted to really show that he had this under control, but I truly don't, based off of the preview of next week's episode. I don't think that he had it under control, but I think that he wanted to showcase that he did. And the way that Rainbeau is getting ran by this woman, and she's like fixated on screaming Rainbeau, and you see like all of the
she's
other
obnoxious
looking at her.
It's funny. The best part was when she sipped the tequila. She's like, "What is this tequila?" And then she just chugged it. She's like, "I don't drink tequila." Well, why the fuck why did you drink it, bitch? You can smell it. The way you drink, you should be able to name every alcohol you can smell in a mile's radius. Like, it's just,
I feel like this bitch is drinking straight gasoline.
Right? She looks like gasoline. Look at her. This is Dawn, everybody. One of the rudest people.
You know what's so funny is
we've had this season.
I think that if you guys remember, his name was Charlie Walters. He was dubbed one of the rudest guests on Below Deck ever. He came on but
he was on a few charters. Didn't he do 3 or 2?
I think he did 2 or 3. He invited us on one of them after I interviewed him, but he had a big group of guys. It was all gay men, all gay charter guests, and they originally came off very, very rude. So then he ended up coming back and he did this whole like Christmas donation and raised a lot of money at the time that the episodes were airing to give back money to give gifts to kids who wouldn't get them. And he really, really did his best to kind of reform what that image was that he was receiving from the show. But he played into what the producers wanted him to do. So he owned that. And then when he came back, he did not do the same thing. And he showcased his real life, his real self. And I respect that. You know, people can make mistakes. For this woman, the way that you're talking to her, you're blatantly disrespectful. I don't give a shit if you own a strip club. Who gives a shit? You guys are trash.
I don't know if she
group
owns
of
the
people,
strip club. Wasn't it the primaries?
No, they all own strip clubs. They all own strip clubs. That's what they said. So yes, you might own strip clubs. That's fine. You make a lot of fast cash, whatever. It doesn't mean that you get to treat people like shit, because one day, and I promise you, because I know this, I went to 13 different schools here, you guys. I saw the world in high school, middle school.
You saw like counties.
I saw a lot of counties. And you go to different schools, you learn how you can talk to people, you learn how you can behave, and there's going to be one day where this moron is going to talk to somebody like she did Rainbeau, and somebody's going to pop her ass and she's going to be like, I don't know what I did. And it's going to come out on page 6 or something, like Below Deck former cast member slapped in the face by former stripper. And I'm going to be like, oh, wow, that's shocking. Not.
Yeah. No, it's weird. It's weird. I don't think there's much reform she can do. I'm just excited to see where this is going to go, because next episode we have the concert that we hopefully get. I actually hope it's a fucking disaster, because that's what I really want to see. I want to see it go to hell. I want to see the whole thing go to hell. I know. And I don't know, because in the preview, and I gotta like go back and watch, because in the main season preview, when Captain Kerry flipped his shit at one of the charter guests and said, I think he even kicked them off the boat. I don't think it's this charter, but it is looking like it. So I'm really curious about where this is going to go, because we need an upswing. We need an upswing here. If we have like 8 more episodes, we have got to like step it up here, you know?
Also, though,
Or 9. Would it be 9? 9 or 10 more episodes.
Why would your silly asses not just... I don't understand. You're on a yacht charter. Why would you not ask for them to bring you to like a local like nightclub, lounge, something that has the music, the energy, the stuff, and have the boat waiting? So what they could do is they give you like pre-drinks and like charcuterie.
Yeah.
Like pre-game on the boat, and then you go and you're all dressed up and you have somebody who's escorting you. You can have a fun night. You come back. When you come back, there's like
before. On other franchises. Yeah.
There's hors d'oeuvres. There's like champagne. There's like a nightcap. Like, why would you not do it this way? Why in the are you asking for them to close down an entire dock and give you, first of all, you silly asshole, sanctions? You want sanctions to
sanctions.
Whatever they are. I don't know. Sanctions. I don't know. Sorry, guys. I should know this. Stanchions. You want stanchions to show everybody that you guys are the charter guests, but then you want to invite a bunch of people that you don't even know to come on the dock and party, and then you're treated as if you're the guest, that you're like the empire who's overseeing said party.
But also, did you see where the party was going to be at the dock? It was like in front of a strip mall kind of thing, like an office.
It looks like shit.
It's a parking lot.
Oh, oi.
This is exactly where these people belong. Adam, thank you for joining us for Anchor Watch. What are you excited for next week? Just the disaster from hell that we're about to get?
No, I honestly... Oh, this is fun. Can I say, okay. One, I hate that they do this at 10:30 because I would totally love to chime in on all of this. I love Below Deck and I watch it every single Monday with Jason. But then 2, it has to be not only what's going to happen with the dock party, but then I want to see what's going to happen with the love triangle. And I truly want to find out if in fact Rainbeau will leave, if we are going to lose somebody from the interior, or if somebody is going to get fired. I do want to find that out because I'm interested in that.
I'm calling it. And the only thing we know a lot of people like on the show and people who work behind the scenes on the show and stuff like that. I would never ask. They're never going to tell me anyway. But I do know that there are going to be a couple of people leaving. I think it's supposed to be the most in Below Deck history. So I don't know if 3 is enough. I want to see what happens. There are a lot of firings this season. And I don't know if we count Chef Lawrence as a firing because he walked himself off the plank. You know what I mean?
2 now.
So we have 1. If you count, we can count both. So we still have 1 to go if that's true. But if 2 are leaving themselves, let's say Rainbeau leaves by herself and Chef Lawrence left, I would love to see who else might be going. It really keeps it fun. Love Below Deck for this.
Kind of to piggyback off of what you said earlier too, like so much respect to Captain Kerry for like the way, even when Caio ended up leaving and he had everybody come and like see him off and like clap and like just embrace him. I thought that was really cool too. I was like, man, that's a good guy, especially being like, look, dude, you didn't work, but we all love you. We've grown to love you. It's just not the job for you. Yeah, it kind of showcases. I don't know what the fuck that is.
Josh put that up here when he was on Anchor Watch.
Okay. I don't know what that is. If you ever do that to me again.
So sad.
I'm done. Guys, I love you. Thank you for letting me join Jason for Anchor Watch. And I'm so sorry I'm not Gelsey. And I'm sorry that I'm not in uniform. However, I love the show. And I could do this anytime.
You got to jump on with us for sure again, too. Also, like, if daytime works better, I guess we could move it. But we love our late nights here on Anchor Watch. And Gelsey will be back. Gelsey's traveling right now. These 2 weeks, we're all traveling a lot. That's why this is pre-recorded tonight. But thank you for watching. Let us know what you think in the live chat. And while I am traveling, I will be able to see you guys in the live chat. So I will join you in the conversation tonight. which I'm telling you this at the end, you've already watched it. So I'll tell you in the live chat while we're watching it that I'll be here with you guys. All right. Adam, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's always fun to be on with you. Nice to have you on my show on your own channel. But all right, we're going to love you and leave you. Thank you guys. And head over to the website, guys. There are a lot of great articles going up from our team. We have recaps, fresh recaps coming up. Adam and I are traveling to New York next week for a great brand partnership. We will be vlogging for our members. So if you're not part of our members, now is the time to join. And we're going to get some shit going here on Up and Adam. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.